So just a quick disclaimer, everyone. I managed to put my microphone in the wrong position, so the audio at the beginning of this video is probably very bad. I will try to fix it in editing, but bear with me. At some point I will realize it and I will fix it, and I'm very sorry. Hey everyone, and welcome to my channel. In 2025, I reached a 0 TBR, kind of. And today I wanted to talk about what that means, like what did I actually achieve, and then what does this mean for my reading and my channel going forward. Now, I am very excited to do this because this has been something I've been working towards for a very, very long time. Like 4 years now, I tried to achieve that 0 TBR. And now I am as close as I've ever been. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about that. So maybe let's start out with the question of why is it kind of a 0 TBR? And that is because I have already acquired more books. However, the big goal for me with that 0 TBR idea has always been to read the books that just have been on my TBR for years and years. So some of these books I had bought myself, but over the years I had lost interest in them, and so they were just like still sitting there, and I felt weird like getting rid of them, but I also didn't feel like reading them anymore. And then I also unfortunately had quite a few books that I got gifted that I wasn't like really interested in them, or I already had like this feeling that I wouldn't love them, but I also felt kind of guilty not at least giving them a try, and since I don't DNF, that means reading the book. And so in 2025, as I did have my 6 months sabbatical, I set myself the goal of reaching that 0 TBR. And since I acquired new books in 2025, I decided that I would count like reading all of the books that I had owned pre-2025 as reaching my goal. So all of those old dusty books that were still on the TBR, that were always glaring at me, I wanted to get rid of them, and I did that. With my last 2 months, like in November and December, I did this like every book all at once series, where I had all of these books that were still left over on a spinner wheel, and I pretty much finished all of them except for 2/3, depending on how you count it. So we're going to start out this video with these books. And what we're going to do now is that I will go through all of the books I have now acquired. We're going to go through them in the order that I have acquired them. And we're basically doing like a month by month thing, because going forward now, my goal is to never have a book on the TBR for more than 12 months. Now, for me personally, the ideal state is buying a book, reading a book, buying a book, reading a book. Now, it doesn't always work that way, because sometimes I buy a book, I don't get around to it immediately because of reasons. For example, if I do get like the 3rd book in a series and I want to reread the previous books, that is usually something that kind of holds me up. However, this is what we're going to do, and we're going to see how successful we will be with that in 2026. So by the end of 2026, all of the books I will mention now should be finished, or I have failed. Okay, so talking about the 2/3 books I still have left over from 2025. We do have anyway The Wind Blows. I have started this a little bit, but yeah, I did not manage to finish this one, and it is on my January TBR, so I will start the year out hopefully finishing this series. And then the second and third book technically are these Grimm's fairy tales that I'm still reading. I have made quite a bit of progress. We have 1 volume of the fairy tales left, and then the volume with all the notes and annotations from the Brothers Grimm. So this is a bit of a project, but I hope to also finish these off in January, as this is like the winter time for me is the fairy tale time, you know, and it is fun to read these in the original, but yeah, I got a little bit burned out with this. Now, if we're talking about a month, then the next month we need to talk about is April, because I have not left over any of the books that I got in January, February, or March. So at the beginning of April, I bought Faithbreaker. This is the third book in the God Killer series. I know it has a different name, but I always forget. But yeah, this needs to be read by the start of April, and I really hope I can do that. This will be the finale of the series, so then it will be finished off, but I do want to reread the first two books before I get to this one. Again, for April, we have a book that I technically started last year. I started that in May, but then I didn't end up finishing it, and that is Disability Intimacy, edited by Alice Wong. Now, unfortunately, by now Alice Wong has passed away, so that makes this book like even harder to read in a way. I know that the intro to this book already made me cry. Okay, I just realized I had my mic in the wrong position for this whole thing. So the audio of this video might be terrible, and I'm very sorry about that. I hope it will be okay. I will have to check when I'm editing. I'm so sorry. That has never happened to me before. But I don't want to start from the beginning because I really need to go grocery shopping. The introduction of this book already made me cry when I read it the first time, and so now it's going to be even more painful. However, I do still really want to read this. This is an essay collection on disability and intimacy, as you would guess from the title, and I think I will restart this one when I read it. And then we have two audiobooks for April as well. We still have left Can't Spell Treason Without T by Rebecca Thorne. This is a cozy fantasy that I hope to read at the beginning of the year now. And we also have Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Wall Kimmerer. And this is a non-fiction book about like living with nature. And yeah, I hope to also finish that one before April. Now, moving along to May, I only have one book left that I acquired in May, and that is The Just City by Joe Walton. I read Tooth and Claw by Joe Walton, really loved it, so I want to read more. Then we have two books for June. First of all, we have my most anticipated book for a while, and that is Silverborn. I'm very excited to read this one. I started my reread of the first three books in this series, the Morrigan Crow series, so I can get to this one, and yeah, very intrigued to see how her journey continues. This is a very magical middle grade series that I love. And then I also got a Dungeon Crawler Carl by Matt Dinneman. This one I also got on audio, so I'm very excited to start that one soon. I hope I will love it as much as everyone else, because in July I also got Call's Doomsday Scenario and the Dungeon Anarchist Cookbook, because I had like 3 credits left on Audible and I wanted to use them up. So now I have these 3 audiobooks and I hope I will like them, because otherwise that will be sad. And then I got one more book in July during my Paris trip. I picked up Giovanni's Room by James Baldwin. So this I'm also intrigued by. I think this is a very tragic story about a gay man, so we'll see how that goes. In August, I also have one book that I haven't read yet from the books I had acquired. This one I got during my Italy trip, and that is Great Italian Stories. So we have 10 short stories by Italian writers in this one, in the original Italian as well as in English. In October, I ended up with one gifted book that got added to the TBR. Now, I don't know what the English title of this one is. In German, it's called Kleine Wunder in der Mitternachtskonditorei by Lee Onwa. And this is one of those healing fiction books, but by a Korean author, so I'm intrigued to see how I will like this one. And now the rest of the books I have to talk about, almost all of them are Christmas books, so they all count for December. The first Christmas book I got from my best friend was Cheese Sweet Home Volume 11. So this is the penultimate one for this manga series. This is a middle grade series following a small cat that gets adopted by a Japanese family. Then I got Asunder by Kirsten Hall. This is one of the books that I been waiting for a very long time, because I couldn't find an audiobook for this and I didn't want the hardcover, so I had to wait for the paperback to finally be out, and now I can't wait to read this. Then I also wished for the next 2 books I have to read in the Discworld series, so I got Weird Sisters and Sorcery by Terry Pratchett, and I can't wait to continue on with this journey. And then I also wished for the next book in the Temperance Brennan series that I need to read, so I can continue on with this one, and that is Monday morning. This is a kind of a thriller series, but with a very scientific approach, so I can't wait to read this. Then I got a couple of books from my friends. So we have The 100 Years War on Palestine by Rashid Khalidi, which I think will be a very important like nonfiction book to read next year, and I'm very excited to dive into this one. I also got Unmasking Autism by Devon Price. So again, one thing that I'm kind of interested in, and I want to see what I can learn from this. And last but not least, we have Witches, Bitches, It Girls by Rebecca Endler. This is a German feminism book. So I love the title of this, and I can't wait to see what this book actually does with it. And that is it. That are all the books that are currently on my TBR. So yeah, I feel quite good about this. I think I can get to all of these books within a year if I don't get distracted by library books and stuff. So wish me luck. I try to hold myself accountable. Now, one thing that will change from now on is that I plan to do monthly TBRs instead of seasonal TBRs. I will see how that works out for me personally, but for now I want to give that a try just so I can be a little bit more aware of the month where I have to read some of these books and make a little bit more of a plan to read them before the year mark approaches. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. But as I said, I'm just so happy to have this fresh list of books that I haven't been staring at for years to read. So yeah, I am very, very glad and happy. And I hope that this video was somewhat entertaining. Leave a like if you liked it. Also, let me know, do you prefer a large or a small TBR pile? Because I always like it when I have books that get into my house and get read quite quickly, so to have a faster turnaround. So a big TBR just really stresses me out, to be honest. But I know that some people like to have this big library where they can choose from and stuff. It's not me. That's just not me. So thanks for watching, and I will talk to you soon. Bye!